All right. Good morning, everybody. What's up? It's a mega live session. Haven't done this in probably a month at least, if not a little bit longer. But anyway, I wanted to come on and touch on a couple topics dealing with mandates or the lack thereof that are starting to occur throughout the world. Got to be careful, obviously, what I say on here, but this is just me reporting what's reportedly the case. The people are starting to notice the trend with Omicron, and people like the UK, not people, countries like the UK, Germany, and others are starting to lax their stance on this kind of craziness that we've been dealing with all throughout the world. So anyway, if you're watching this, let me know in the comments. Go ahead and start chatting to me. Let's get the conversation started. I don't plan on going more than about 30 minutes today. It might not even be that long because we're going to get straight into it. If you have not heard, now I haven't had a chance to search all this out, but as far as the awakening is concerned, if you're a person that comes from all the stuff you see, your perception, your lens in life is that of faith, you'll notice that, the spirit has been basically saying that God's hand is moving and he's going to start restoring a lot of the problems that we see in the world in this year of 2022. I'm definitely one that believes that. And so I'm watching for signs that tend to validate that or refute it, but I'm looking for signs. But anyway, I'm hearing this from a lot of people breaking that there are a number of countries, and let's just go ahead and get into it. The UK being probably the biggest one, Scotland have ended their restrictions, if you know what I'm talking about. Germany and the Czech Republic have canceled at the moment, supposedly, all their mandates. And now 20 U.S. states have canceled all restrictions. It says Israeli Green Pass is to be canceled as well. This is massive stuff here. UK, Scotland ending restrictions. Germany, Czech Republic currently have canceled mandates, although there's still some paperwork and there's still some efforts to try to see if they can get that rolling again. And you got 20 U.S. states that have canceled those restrictions. So just to kind of bring the latest to you guys as far as UK is concerned, all right, just wanted to read a little bit here when it comes to that. England is about to drop virtually all of its anti-COVID restrictions. It says right here, most legal restrictions to prevent the spread of the coronavirus in England will be dropped next week. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson told the British Parliament on Wednesday. From Monday, face masks face masks will no longer be mandatory, anywhere in England. Anywhere in England, Europe. Our scientists believe it's likely that Omicron wave has now peaked nationally, Johnson said. This is me reporting what Johnson said, attributing to the end of the most recent COVID-19 surge. The extraordinary booster campaign, together with the way the public have responded to the restrictions brought in when the Omicron hit. It says the restrictions being lifted on Monday in England were some of the least stringent imposed across Europe to counter the Omicron wave. They include a requirement for face masks to be worn in crowded indoor spaces, mandatory COVID-19 passes which show vaccination status or a recent negative test to enter large venues, and guidance to work from home where possible. The premier said his government hoped to lift the only remaining legal requirement for anyone who tests positive for COVID-19 to self-isolate for at least 5 days before it lapses automatically in March. To make that possible, he said, we must remain cautious during the last weeks of winter. The pandemic is not over. Anyway, despite case numbers remaining high in the UK, the number of new daily infections has decreased by 38.9% over the last week. That's really significant. That's basically 40% of new daily infections. The number of hospital admissions related to the virus has started to drop as well. It says many nations across Europe have endured further winter lockdowns, Johnson said, but this government took a different path. Woo! That's massive news, folks. Thank you for joining in. Let's just see what's going on. Queen B says Boris is in trouble. Hey, welcome back. What's up, Sarah? Queen B. There's a bill going through for temporary replacement of Prime Minister. He's been exposed for lying and doing dodgy PPE deals, and he has also had a party during the first lockdown. So he's trying to save his own skin, is what you're saying. Wouldn't surprise me. Let's go, UK. Boris is going. All the people testing positive for COVID are the people. Yeah, I agree, but I got to be careful what I say, guys. yeah, it's very interesting that all of a sudden, right now, the timing is concerned. He's taking such a radical stance against the narrative of the world sway, if that makes sense. But that's just depending on how you look at it. The way I look at it, that's good news. That's a sign of things happening, and it's not just in the UK. Can I tell you a little bit about Germany here? Now, Germany is a little different story. I think they're trying to do the mandates from what I'm reading here. Let's read a little bit of it. But it's being stalled at the moment. There's been some compulsory jabs for everyone eligible, and similar measures have already been put in place in other EU countries, European Union countries. However, many hurdles remain for doing mandates, as the Omicron has sent the number of coronavirus infections skyrocketing across Germany. Says the new government here, led by Chancellor Olaf Scholz, has said vaccinations remain the cornerstone of the fight against the plague. Germany is lagging behind many of its neighbors. Only 72.7% of them have had the 2 jabs, while 47% have had the booster 2. 17 million adults remain unvaccinated. So he's trying to show strong leadership as it came to crafting his pandemic policy. But the opposition now claims that leadership is exactly what is lacking in the attempts to introduce compulsory vaccination. So I'm reading a kind of this article here is a liberal minded one, but it's still the mandates are pretty much failing at the moment there in Germany as well. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about this. Apparently, according to my sources, not just the UK but Scotland have ended all restrictions. Germany and the Czech Republic have canceled for the time being their mandates, and there are 20 U.S. states that have canceled all restrictions currently in this United States. And with the Omicron, and I once heard somebody say this. I was listening to this kind of Christian-based program, and he basically was saying that perhaps this Omicron, believe it or not, it's kind of like God's Christmas present to the world. I mean, you think about it, highly infectious, yet doesn't seem to be as severe. I think I just got done with my round of it. Wasn't a light thing. I don't want to do it again, but it definitely wasn't as severe as certain strands of the virus that we've seen in the past. And if it can build immunity a lot quicker and more effectively than what we currently have out there, one could look at it on the positive side as a gift to humanity. And it looks like there's a 40% reduction in new cases in the UK, which is leading them to make their current decision on that policy. So anyway, reading a little bit more from you guys, Queen Bee says, Seraph, if you go onto the Parliament website for the UK and search their bills, and you'll see that all human trafficking, the lot. I think I'm coming in late on y'all's comment there, so I'm going to have to back up a little bit. Reading a little bit more, it says, the White House is officially the most expensive nursing home in America. Yeah. Wow. That's a good way of putting it, Valiant Thor. The most expensive nursing home in the world. Yeah, I would agree. This guy makes no sense whatsoever. If you don't understand that he has not ever been calling the shots by now, you're just not going to get it. This guy is the epitome of a puppet, but he's not even a good puppet. It's like his strings are like not attached right, and he's not dancing the way that the puppet masters want him to dance, and it's just falling apart like crazy. And I don't think he has much longer, no matter what people say. Anyway, he can't poop in the Oval Office if he isn't ever there. I mean, they're doing the fake set. Did y'all watch my video a couple of days ago? Once again, he's trying to do a politically motivated speech about MLK, even though he's the last person qualified to talk about that man's ideals. And for some reason, they just can't seem to film this press. It was pre-recorded, first off, pre-recorded. So, we can't get any live questions that make them look dumb when they do it that way. And why can't they just film it in the White House? If you're the president, I don't understand the need for this fake set all the time. I'm not buying their answers. They're trying to say, oh, it's not conducive to the real White House. I mean, it's been conducive for presidents for decades. Why all of a sudden now is it not conducive? You're not getting any real questions, interviews from the man anyway. It's very weird. I don't buy what I'm being sold, what's being projected. But anyway, reading a little bit more from the comments. Prize Racing says, Mitch McConnell, the concern is misplaced because if you look at the statistics, African-American voters are voting in just as high a percentage as American voters. Mitch, you said it loud. Says America was founded by geniuses, but it's being run by idiots. Yeah, it's been run by people who are evil. I honestly don't think these people are idiots. I mean, Biden might be, but the people pulling his strings are very intentional. Yeah, I mean, even an idiot can't intentionally screw up the greatest country to ever live in like 12 months as fast as Joe Biden has. It's an intentional thing. It this doesn't just happen. You know, you don't have inflation just systematically going through the roof because of just incompetence. It's been calculated deception. And so you know, we're dealing with that fallout, but thank God that God's on the throne and he has us. I firmly believe that. Can't help but feel that it's all ended because Prince Andrew has been shunned. The Queen has taken everything and told him he has to deal with it as a citizen. Conspiratorial maybe, but could have some truth to it. Yeah, I feel like the pendulum is reversing course. It's just interesting. Like all of a sudden, you have you know how people are. I mean, even if you look at like marketing, you know that once, you know, people who market research, they know that once they get X percent of the population that buys into this product that says it's cool, then the whole rest of them will swoop and fall through. And so now you got X percentage of the world with these countries, UK, Germany, I think it's Scotland, 20 states in the US and many others who all of a sudden at the same time, it's like you see the momentum happening. They're like, you know what, forget these mandates. They're not working. I mean, I remember just reading a Facebook post the other day from a person I went to college with. Just kind of shows you the kind of people that are allowed in college, because she was on like, I don't know what numbered booster jab or whatever, and she still got the virus, right? And then continued in one breath to say, but we all have to get herd immunity and we all need to get it. I'm like, well, you just proved that it doesn't work, but I don't understand your logic. Oh, wait, you don't have it. But anyway, I got to be careful on lives talking about this topic. Um, but you know, you're starting to see a turn of the tide, I believe, no matter, you know, why that is. I'm sure some people are politically motivated, just trying to save their own skin. And there's probably other reasons and agendas for why they're doing what they're doing. The truth stands that, hey, there's a little bit of a change in the atmosphere. People realize, even the Democrats, that Sleepy Joe is absolutely probably the worst president in the history of modern era, probably of all time. He's just that bad. His policies don't work, and the guy doesn't have anything but blame the pandemic. That's his only go-to, and it's getting tired. It's getting old. It's getting more tired than Sleepy Joe is. Anyway, Sleepy Joe's like a kid telling a story, but then you have to go ask your parent to explain what the kid's talking about. I love it. Prize Racing says, Glenn Youngkin yanked funding from public schools that require masks. His kids go to elite Georgetown Prep, which requires mask and vaccinations for all students and staff. GOP protect their own. Sarah says, you were right about 45 those weeks ago, Mega. Interesting how my comment on Candace Owens played out. I knew there would be friction there. Remind me what you said about Candace Owens. I vaguely kind of I'm kind of familiar with it, but I'm not. I need a refresher. But yeah, 45. I keep seeing it. Even yesterday, I was just amazed how many times I'll just be at the grocery store. I'll be looking at my phone. It'll be 45 degrees, you know, in my car, you know, temperature reading. 45 minutes ago, somebody will have posted something. I see 45 everywhere I look. I'll watch sports shows and so-and-so dropped 45 points, or, you know, he batted 4 for 5 from the field. This has been continually happening with me since October. And so sorry if that sounds a bit mystical or whatever, but I have my own relationship with the Lord, and he's consistently my entire life since I hit 20, when he wants to show me something that's coming down the pike, when he wants to reveal something to me, a lot of times he'll put it in front of my eyes. So it's completely from a faith standpoint that I believe what I believe, because I don't live by what I see. I believe by what I feel like I'm hearing in the spirit and in my relationship with the Lord. But if you think about it, I mean, something's got to give. The whole world understands that this guy, this fraud in chief, is not going to work. It's not flying with them. And people, I'm sure, don't want Harris. Even the left doesn't want Harris. So some change has got to happen soon, because this guy ain't going to make it his 4 terms. I don't think this guy's going to make it 6 more months. I don't even think he's going to make it 3 more months. And so keep your eyes on 45. Keep your eyes open, because there's going to be a change, and we'll see who's right. Valiant, what Roman Vikings from the West invading and wiping out natives in USA was genius about it. Let's see. I have a foam pillow with more memory than Sleepy Joe. That's a good one. Keep him rolling, Valiant Thor. You're making me laugh. That's funny. Yeah, I got a foam memory pillow too, and it definitely's got a little bit more working between the ears than Sleepy Joe, that's for sure. Man, so anyway, we'll see if they'll let us keep up this live here because you know the content I'm talking about, but I just wanted to just touch on this because it's not getting enough play as far as I'm concerned. You're starting to see the needle kind of the dial kind of switch. You're starting to see people who are leaders of countries, England, about to drop um virtually all of their restrictions. I mean, this is Europe, okay? The hub of liberal ideology and policy. And they're like, nah, we're done. Many nations across the Europe have endured the winter lockdowns, but this government's going to take a new path. This is what Johnson has said, quoting him. It says the aim of the measures was a slow transmission of the virus to buy time for the government to provide boosters to as much of the British public as possible. About 2/3 of eligible Britons now boosted. Johnson said it was time to drop the restrictions. So it's like he's kind of talking out of both sides of his mouth, as far as I'm concerned. On one side of his mouth, he's basically saying like, "Look, we've seen the peak of the Omicron, therefore it's safe to release restrictions." And then on the other side of his mouth, he's saying, "Look, we have 2/3 boosted, and so that's the reason why we can drop the restrictions." Either way, I'm not gonna, tit for tat about that. I'm just happy they're dropping restrictions. That's just a sign. It encourages me, gives me some hope in these crazy, crazy times. So, reading one more source, this is Reuters. They have an article titled "The Great Reboot: Betting Omicron has Peaked," and so they're kind of saying the same thing. He's basically betting on the fact, according to this source, that Omicron has hit its worst, and so for that reason, Prime Minister Johnson can drop some of these restrictions in England. Whatever his motivations are, I still see that in the big picture as a big, huge positive, a big plus. Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced the end of the COVID-19 measures, including the mandatory face mask in England, as he looks to live with the virus after a peak in cases has caused a rapid spread of the variant. Johnson's light touch approach to dealing with it saw him introduce a work at home advice and vaccine passes, as well as more mask wearing on the 8th of December, although he stopped short of more onerous restrictions, seen globally. While cases soared to high records and hospitalizations and deaths have not risen by the same extent, he's saying, which I can vouch for that. I mean, in the U.S., my whole family got the virus. I have medical personnel in my family, and they're seeing the cases skyrocket like crazy. But at the same time, they could report the same, that the hospitalizations, the deaths were definitely down. So that's a good sign. Johnson's pledge to avoid lockdowns and the live virus contrasts with the zero tolerance policy approach from other countries that we aren't such big fans of, such as China and Hong Kong, and then some of the other countries that have higher, tougher restrictions. Many nations across Europe have endured the winter lockdowns, but he's taken a different path. So they're kind of saying the same stuff. But anyway, I don't have a whole lot else to say. Fauci's getting on my daggum nerves. I don't know if you guys saw that article where he's basically talking about how there's 5 stages to the pandemic and we're only on stage 1. I can only wonder how it could be to his advantage to be on stage 1 of a 5-stage pandemic process. And he ends the article or the quote by basically saying stage 5 is the end of the pandemic and that doesn't exist and it won't happen. So he's just going to be relevant for years and years and years, according to him. He's a big fan of himself. I think he's the only one. But anyway, I appreciate you guys just coming on here. I just wanted to touch base with you guys. I've been, MIA. I got I got tested positive about 15 days ago or so, and I'm feeling better. And finally, feel like I got the energy to come on and try to get back up on the horse and bring the content and the news and just kind of touch base with you guys. And I hope you guys have a blessed day, a blessed one. I don't have anything to say, but let's just keep the faith, keep praying this thing through. Let's just pray for more freedom to win out over the tyranny that we've been under, that God wins, that his angels march forth, that these mandates just die. More countries start coming out with similar policies. That's what we need to pray for and believe and pray through for 45's protection, 45's return, and 45's just an anointed spirit to just rise and freedom to come back, because I believe that's what God's will is, and I believe that's what's coming and what's needed, and it's what I'm praying for. So anyway, God bless you guys. I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm gonna get to my day. Y'all be blessed. All right, peace.